All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I appreciate you all being here. You got it's a substitute broker day. You don't have Chris, it's Scott, and we are going to talk about our 2026 business plan. It's kind of crazy. It's the season's changing. You're feeling some fall in the air out there, and it's hard to believe that this year is wrapping up. It flew by. Well, first of all, this is downtown Dayton here. We have an office tower. I think it's our largest office tower called Strategy Tower. It used to be called Kettering Tower, and has a mural on it. And it says, "If you're going through hell, keep going." Sir Winston Churchill said that, and that was painted during the pandemic, and has stayed up since. It's kind of represents the grit of Dayton, our attitude and perseverance of our city, but it really represents the real estate industry right now. If you're making it in 2025, if you're closing $1 million a year in 2025, you are a rock star, because this is not an easy market that we're in right now. So I don't want to make light of that. I don't want to, sometimes you get into watching podcasts and some of the real estate talk, and it's this hustle culture and like, oh yeah, we're all crushing it. And no, we're not all crushing it right now. This is a tough market. This is a tough year, and I don't want to make light of that. But I also want to make it clear there is opportunity in every market, and sometimes it's just a little bit harder to find that opportunity in every market. But we're going to find it, and we're going to talk about how to do that now. But if you're making it in 2025, you're a rock star, because if you look at stats, 2024 was the lowest year in real estate transactions since 1995, a 30-year low. And 2025 is expected to be flat compared to 2024, or a slightly down compared to 2024. Now, those are our national stats. I know we have folks on the call in Florida. I think Florida's getting hit a little harder than the overall nation. We have a lot of us are in Ohio, and Ohio, I think, has been spared a lot of the downturn that the rest of the nation has felt, but we still have had some. We definitely have had some. So let's talk about what are we going to do to start our 2026 business plan. I like business planning. I'm a little weird about it, because if I'm going through a time where I feel like things aren't in my business looking like how I want them to look, things aren't moving at the pace I want them to go, I feel like I can sit down and I can come up with a plan, and that I can cast a vision of what I want my business to look like, and then execute that plan. And sometimes I'll even do multiple business plans at a time. Like if I'm trying to make a decision, what do I want to do with, what direction do I want to take my business? I'll kind of work out two business plans, and then I'll say, well, which one looks more fun? Which one am I most excited about as I plan them? So if you're doing it up against a tough decision, do I want to focus on listings this year, or do I want to focus on internet leads? Okay, well, maybe you sit down and you develop two plans. And which plan makes most sense to you? Which one are you most excited about executing? And that can help in big decisions. So I like business planning because it just adds a sense of clarity to my business and a sense of direction. So this is something you can do anytime. But traditionally, I've always done this around this time of the year. In fact, I kind of in my mind have set Veterans Day, November 11th, as business planning day. By then, now my goal is I want to have a plan by Veterans Day and start executing that plan, start putting things in motion for the following year. It used to be when I was in the mortgage business, and my business plan wasn't as flexible as it is as a real estate agent and broker. I there then I would Veterans Day was always the day the office was quiet, no one was in, and I could sit down, and that was the day I did my business plan. So What we want to start off with as we plan for 2026 is what are your personal and professional goals? And they go hand in hand. You cannot just plan your year professionally without also thinking about your personally. I'm trying to think like if you have a major life event coming up in 2026, let's say your family's growing, you or your spouse is having a baby, you're that's going to change your plan. That's going to change your time commitment. So that's an extreme example of how your personal and professional goals need to line up. But you also want to make sure, I've had times where I've had a business plan and I've been rolling with that business plan and I realize, okay, I'm hitting these goals, but I'm working too much. This really isn't what I want to be doing. I kind of value simple life. I kind of value simplicity and I look at simplicity as wealth and I've created this complicated system that now I'm doing and it really is not reflecting my mission, vision, and values that are personal to me. So I need to readjust. So as Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. Like go into this knowing what your personal goals are along with your professional goals. Why are you in this business? Why are you in real estate? Why do you sell houses? I found if it's, I love working with people, I love helping people. If I hear those answers, those are the people who are going to be successful in this business. If it's the answer is, oh, I thought it would be really flexible, and I thought I would have um, just a little bit of work but make a lot of money and very flexible schedule. That's really not a goal that leads to success in this business. Yes, it gives you freedom. Yes, you can use creativity and you can cast the vision for how you want your business to grow and in the direction you want to take it. There's a lot of freedom and liberty in this business, but it does involve hard work. It does involve effort. It's not just going to all fall in your lap. So, anyone out there who it's all fallen in their lap and they didn't have to work? I don't think so. So, yeah. So there's a lot to be done, and that's what we're going to talk about. What does success look like to you? What is that a level of income? Is that a level of freedom? Is that a creative outlet? Think about that. What does that look like to you? Because what I want to do here is we're going to talk about our business plan, but then we're going to conclude it with some to goals as far as action items to complete your business plan. And then I want you to, I'm going to make myself available if anyone wants to reach out to me and do a one-on-one, either Zoom or sit down. I'll even open up because we're going to talk about health in a little bit. I'll even open it up. Do you want to meet me on a hiking trail for an hour to talk about your business? That's a great way to have a meeting too. So those three options, if anyone wants to sit down and go over their personal business plan, I'm making myself available to do that between now and the end of November. So um, make sure our business plan ties with our lifestyle and our long-term vision. So let's start off with taking a look at 2025. And what did we do in 2025 in this um, challenging year in our market? Take a look at your closings, take a look at your volume, take a look at your conversion rates. And what I mean by that is based upon what you closed, what was your average transaction? What was your average commission? Can you conclude how many people you had to talk to in order to have a lead, a client in your pipeline that you were working with, either with an active buyer's agreement or an active listing agreement? So, how many contacts do you make in order to have a conversation? How many leads do you need to generate in order to have a conversation? How many conversations in order to have a client? How many clients in order to have a closing, how many closings in order to make a certain amount of dollars. Those stats are going to be very important as you move forward. Those things are important to know in order to do your business plan. And then when you look at it, well, what worked well, what didn't work so well, and what do we want to repeat and what do we want to stop? Gary Keller has a book called Shift, and it's about when the market is shifting in a bad way, what immediate action items do you need to do? And in Plum Tree University on YouTube, Chris Russell also has a great, he references Gary's book and has a great training on this as well, where you don't have to buy the book and it's a lot more concise and better. So check that out too. But this is something we should do every year. Take a look at what you're spending money on marketing, and did it work? Did it not work? These are the times. If something worked well, then maybe we spend more money on it. If it did not work well, maybe we cut it off or we spend less on it, or how do we need to tweak it? And then so we come up with those takeaways to carry forward. How much money do you want to make in 2026? And then take some of those stats that we discussed in the previous slide in order to come up with that. So let's say if I have a goal and I say I want to make $120,000 in 2026. And let's say my average sale price is $250,000 and I make on average of 2.5% per transaction. Well, that's 6,250 on average per transaction. So I can't do math and talk at the same time. Dividing that into 120,000, I need to close about 19.2. I need to sell 19.2 houses a year. Well, because you can't sell 0.2 houses. Let's just say I need to sell 20 houses a year, and or on average of 1.67 a month. So let's just say I need to close between 1 and 2 houses a month. And I do, leaning towards two. So there I have a goal that if I sell 2 houses a month at my average rate, it's going to help me get to my production goal. And then you work backwards based upon those findings from 2025 that we discussed here. How many people do I need to talk to? How many leads do I need? Well, first of all, how many leads do I need? How many people do I need to talk to in order to back into those numbers? When we get together, if those are things that I would expect you to have prepared, unless you're a brand new agent, and you don't have a track record to go off of, but when we sit down, that's what we're going to be going over, and we're going to go into this in more detail. What we're covering now on a broader overview, we'll talk about it specifically for you. So when we sit down, be prepared for what did you sell last year? How did those numbers break down as far as transactions, commissions, and things like that, in order to help us back into the transactions needed for your income goal. Any questions so far? Covered a lot. Anyone have a question of how they would come up with those numbers, or has anyone come up with numbers like that before? And maybe you have a preferred tracking method or way that you've been able to back into that. As when I say back into, taking transactions and going back into the number of leads. Has anyone gone through that process before? And they'd like to share about it. I saw, okay, I thought I saw a hand, but I think it was, but, all right. We have other sources of revenue here at Plum Tree. We can recruit. And I have the feeling that the Plum Tree Cruise is going to be a big success. It's definitely brought a lot of new faces into our company. and we're excited about that. I have a feeling this will not be the last Plum Tree cruise, and I have a feeling these incentives to recruit are going to be here for a while. So, recruiting for recurring revenue is something to think about too, and add that to your business plan. What tweaks do you have that you can add to your business, your regular method of operation, in order to be able to recruit, bring some agents on board, and make the $1,000 recruiting bonus and then the $100 closing bonus as a form of recurring revenue? That's another resource available in the Plum Tree University YouTube channel, is growing your income with recruiting, growing residual income, growing recurring residual income, because you recruit someone and it's not just a one-time profit, it's $100 every time they sell a house. So that's significant and that's ongoing. So think about how you can grow your business with that. And then think about, is investing a goal for anyone? We, as independent contractors, we do not have a 401k. But we do have the ability to, as we're in the marketplace, we may see good deals. We may see, wow, that popped up on the market. Someone needs to buy that. Oh, well, maybe I need to buy that. Maybe I need to add a rental property to my portfolio every year. Maybe I need to flip a house every year. Um, do you have goals like that that you want to add to your normal real estate sales in order to maybe make that a part of your income goals? If I could make 20, 30, $40,000 a year flipping a property, well, that's an extra source of revenue that you have every year. If you can put together the systems to do that. If I want to add a rental property every year to my portfolio, what difference would that make to my retirement plan? Um, so any agents out there have investing that's part of their real estate business plan that they're active in? Now we have a lot of folks at Plum Tree that's the main thing they do, is they're investors, they're house flippers, and they hold their license at Plum Tree and use their license because you can keep the commission on the houses you buy, and you can save the commission on the houses you sell. But any agents that are active with representing buyers and sellers, but they also invest. I want to share a little bit about that. We're
I mean, I guess I'll jump in. Why not? We're here.
we're here. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're here,
So
and Aaron's much more entertaining than I am.
I'm actively on the hunt for a rental property.
Nice.
Um, so I just started reaching out to my investors, seeing what kind of cash I've gotten available for either flips or rentals, things that I can pick up quickly and then refinance once I've grabbed it. So that's a big part of my current prospecting. It's been a few years since I bought my last property, so it's I missed one just the other week by being a little bit too slow. And then outside of that, I've been pushing myself into the niche of working with a core group of investors who all trade stuff back and forth. I want this property, no, you take that one. Yes, this is our contractor. So part of my 26 process is frictionless, and a lot of it's centering around sphere of influence, investor groups, and just being the guy for that community.
Nice. And you know what I suspect is going to happen as you start having these conversations with investors? You're going to meet some investor clients. When I got started in real estate, I started out as I was in the mortgage business for 20 years. And then I got so excited about real estate investing that I got my license. And then like Robert talked about his niche with auctions, my niche was working with investors. And then as I started buying rental properties and meeting investors, I'm like, well, how about I become an agent and then start representing investors? And that was my first 100 sales were probably 80-90% were investors. Sometimes it was, especially back in the time frame I was doing it, I sold a lot of $70,000 houses. They were smaller commissions than now, but I mean, they were commissions and they were steady because most investors don't just buy one house. They come back. They come back for more. So if you can speak that language, if you're dealing with the challenges of owning rental property, you're working on those systems, you can have those conversations with investors, and it's a great way to not only prepare for the future, um, diversify your revenue, but also grow a niche of your business with someone who's really doing it.
Yeah, Scott, that reminded me, years ago when I was just starting out, one of the lenders I was working with told me that the best way, he says, if I want to sell 100 loans this year, he says, I can go after 100 individual people, or I can go after 10 people that each do 10 transactions. So he would market to real estate agents. And I kind
Right.
of took that ideology to investors. Like if I want to sell 15 properties this year, I could find 15 individual people, or I could find maybe 3 investors.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. And three investors that are active, that can that can make a significant difference in your real estate pipeline. All
Hey,
right.
Aaron, you ask about a rental. I don't know where you're looking geographically, but I've got a perfect unit down in New Lexington, Ohio. It's listed at $150. If you're interested, just reach out.
Heck yeah, man. I'll be in touch.
I mean, like, I don't know,
Sounds good.
maybe I'm just speculating to say that investor conversations can lead to deals and stuff, but uh, I did not plant these guys to both talk about that. But yeah, it definitely, these are how these conversations come up and these are how these conversations go. And that is the fun world of real estate investing as an agent, um, so, all right, let's talk about our lead sources. Um, Define 3 to 4 core lead sources to focus on. When I wrote that, I was hesitant in saying 3 to 4 because I'm actually like, I love the simplicity of maybe just 1 to 2 lead sources. But if you don't really have lead sources that you love and that are working for you, and I say you love, that's funny, but I mean, you got a good lead source. You do end up loving that lead source because that it becomes very valuable to you. But I would say if you don't have a good, consistent lead source, start off with 3 to 4 core lead sources to focus on. Is that going to be working your sphere of influence? Is that going to be open houses? Is that going to be online leads? Is that going to be farming a neighborhood with postcards and things like that? So start off with 3 to 4. Don't overdo it. Don't have a dozen, and then because then you can't track them. You don't know where things are coming from. But pick a few, pick 3 or so and work those and then see what's working well for you and then focus on those. I like to have one lead source that's kind of my main one, and then one's my backup because I've had some amazing lead sources that have just totally dried up in the past. Um, we were doing a lot of Zillow in 2016, 17, and then 18, it got a little rough. 19, it got pretty brutal. And then after that, we were just kind of done with Zillow. So I'm not saying Zillow is a bad lead source. It might be a great lead source for you. Back when I was more active in retail, and then after that, we kind of flipped more to literally to a house flipping model. But when I was doing heavy retail, we were doing a lot of Zillow, selling the house probably about every 4 days. That was we did a little commercial with Zillow, and that was part of it is on average our team sells a house every 4 days. So we were doing a lot of volume, and then we had the investors as kind of at that point they became the backup. They became the secondary network. But have that one that's really working for you. I think that's a goal to get to, the one that's kind of that money printing machine. As long as you put money into this lead source, you know you're getting money back out. And then have your backup because if that lead source dries up, and really the Zillow didn't dry up, it just got so popular that so many people had jumped in and were doing it that then the leads became much more expensive. We were buying zip codes for, we'd have 90% of the share in a zip code for like 300 a month. And now if I wanted 90% of the same zip code, it'd probably be 2,000 a month. And it's just much more expensive than it used to be because a lot of people have jumped in. Map out your marketing strategy. So you have your lead sources, and then what are you going to do with those lead sources? What's the strategy? What's your spend on Zillow? What, if you're farming a neighborhood, what campaign are you going to use? Are you, doing digital ads through Bold Trail, and you're doing the boost? And is that part of your marketing strategy? Or are you doing Facebook ads where you're just boosting your own content of your listings or other content that you're creating? Are you boosting that in order to get leads? So determine what your marketing strategy is going to be, and be consistent with it, and make sure you're tracking it too. So it comes down to not just doing activity for the sake of activity, but track your activity. Know what's working and know what's not working. Cheesy saying, actually got this from a Keller Williams Bold course. I don't know if anyone else has ever been to Bold, but it says what you focus on expands. And I'm a big believer in that. If you focus on a certain lead generation tool, and you're actively tracking it, you're actively monitoring it, you're focusing on it, that will expand. We in our office, I say we, I've been a part of a team for really my entire real estate sales career, except for the first year. Ever since I've been part of a team, and we have had a whiteboard. And what we need to expand, we put on that whiteboard. It can be goals. We'll write goals up there. We'll write certain campaigns, projects we're working on. And when it's on the whiteboard, when it's front of mind, we've had a kind of a lead generation system we've been working on. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper, taped it up on the wall right as you walk out the door. So every time we walk out the door, we need to look at how one thing leads to another, that leads to another, as part of our overall marketing plan, and part of our lead generation system. Focus on that. Remind yourself of it every day, however you need to do that. You set reminders on your phone to come up. That's a great one. If you have just I work off of Apple Notes a lot, and have a plan, and then I break that plan down to what am I going to do today, what am I going to do this week, what am I going to do this month in order to accomplish those goals. And then it's front of thought, and you're always focusing on it. CRMs are a big part of business planning, and we have a great one that is provided at Plum Tree called Bold Trail. But I'm a full believer that Bold Trail is awesome for some, and it is not for others. So Bold Trail is a very robust system, but with that, it's a complicated system. So I don't want anyone to, because of our enthusiasm for Bold Trail here at Plum Tree, get into Bold Trail and they're like, this is just too complex for me. I'm just not going to have a CRM. I'm just not going to do it. Because the best CRM is the one you use. And if you're getting a legal pad and you're writing notes on there, and who did I talk to, and and then, you're going back through pages and you're following up with people. If you're using 3x5 cards, I actually did that for a while. I got really sick of the tech and I got 3x5 cards, and that's what we were operating off of. And we would find FSBOs, we'd write them down, we'd send them a handwritten card. We just got totally analog and organic, analog with our marketing at one point. We had some pre-printed postcards done, and we were handwriting postcards, sending them out, and then we'd write down on a piece of legal paper who we sent them to, and then we'd go back through the list and send them something else. And it got super simple. If you want to use an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheets document, Word document, whatever, just have a system, have a CRM, have a way to track who you're talking to, who your clients are. Put the birthdays in your calendar, put them as a contact in your phone, whatever you need to do. Um, that's something you're going to follow, something you're going to stick to. Anyone use a pretty analog or simple CRM that's worked for them that they'd like to share? All right.
I have a backup spreadsheet with all my people on it.
Mhm.
It's just an easy way to keep tabs of where everybody is. Send them mailers a lot. People, it's like this circle. We started sending mail, and then email came out, and then people hated mail and liked email, and then they wanted phone calls and they wanted this. And now I think at sometimes we're back a little more analog to mail. So I use that, and I'll send out mailers about once a quarter. And then I usually go pretty heavy in the wintertime because it's just fun and people get used to me. So by the time the spring rolls around, a lot of my client base is ready to buy or sell.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you have a great postcard campaign too. When Aaron and I host a podcast together, and when we were talking about postcards and marketing and mailing, so I said, "Hey, set me up on your campaign. I want to see what you're sending out." So I've been getting those for several months now, and they're great. Um, Identify what you want to delegate, automate, and simplify. I'm a big fan of just simplify, simplify, simplify. I had an old boss, and she had a thing on her wall, and it said simplify, simplify, simplify. And that was one of my first jobs out of college. Deb Oakley was her name, and she ingrained that in me, that every process has to be simplified, and simplification is the ultimate. What is that saying? Da Vinci, simplification is the ultimate sophistication. So that was what was ingrained in me early on. And don't make things too complicated, because guess what? We're salespeople. We're better at building relationships and stuff like that than we are um, managing complex systems. So you got something that works, then simplify it. I've been driving myself nuts with my accounting system for my real estate flipping business, and I had it overly complicated. I just trashed it and started over with, okay, we're going to do spreadsheets, and we're going to just, how do I make this process more simple so that I keep up with it and don't just wait to the end of the year to do it all. So didn't mean to get on that sidetrack, but when you have a system, look for ways to simplify it. And that way the system will work better for you instead of you just doing a bunch of minutia for your system. I want to talk about partners. Um, I think there's this misconception in real estate, and that it is law that we give out 3 business cards. It is not the law to give out 3 business cards. It is a good way to, if you don't really have someone you trust out there, um, to not be biased in your recommendations. But honestly, I think you're better off having trusted um, vendors that you work with and have experience with, recommending that, but not forcing it, and just saying, hey, we recommend American Home Land Title. They're a trusted partner, but you're allowed to use whatever title company you want, and make it clear that they can use whatever title company they want, but mention that we have a trusted contact, or whoever your trusted contact is. We have, instead of giving out 3 business cards for mortgage lenders, and tell folks you can use the mortgage company you want. We have a trusted mortgage company, Fairway Home Mortgage. Talk to Marcy, and she can help you out with your mortgage needs. Um, why is this better? I believe that when you have a relationship with a vendor that is providing service, you have more control over that real estate transaction. If your client uses Bubba Gump Mortgage and they don't know you, and you need updates on their transaction, they may not call you back. They don't care. You're not important to them, and your client may not even be important to them. If they just were, they walked up to the teller line at the bank and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying a house." "Oh, go talk to Bob. Bob will get you pre-approved." Well, Bob's getting his referrals from the teller line. He does not necessarily need to build relationships with realtors. He does not need to do a good job for realtors and have a connection with realtors and communicate efficiently with realtors. He can, when it's 5 o'clock, leave the bank branch and doesn't necessarily have to work on a pre-approval at on a Saturday evening, or the real estate tends to happen outside of bankers' hours. So, having been experienced as a lender for over 20 years, and having great partnerships with real estate agents, and then having been a real estate agent, having great partnerships with lenders, I really believe in these relationships. I believe it can be a way to help you serve your client better. It can be a way to streamline the process and provide a great client experience. So many times there have been things go sideways in a transaction that my client doesn't even know about, because the lender has communicated with me and I've communicated with the other and just we've solved problems. Maybe it's a title issue, maybe it's the way something's been documented, something on the contract that we need to resolve. Obviously, if you're changing the contract, you need to get your client to initial it. You can't keep secrets from your client. But there's those issues that come up in a transaction that lender, realtor working together can make it a seamless, smooth process for your client and a great client experience. How do we measure our progress? Well, we got to keep track of this stuff. It's one thing to set up goals and then, okay, that was fun. I got that done. I'm done until Veterans Day 2026, and then I don't need to think about goals or business planning anymore. No, you want to find a way to track how you're doing. You want to be able to measure your progress, and you want to see if you're on track, what needs to be tweaked, what needs to be modified. I would recommend having at least one accountability partner in real estate. I'm on a team, so my business partner is an accountability partner to me. We sit down, we talk about our goals, we look at them, we take hikes, and we talk about how things are going, and we solve problems on the hiking trail. If you are a solo agent that is not part of a team, find someone who's at a similar place in business with you. And then maybe find someone who's ahead of you in their career, whether it be years of experience or whether it be volume that they're doing, or maybe their business is gone in a direction that you want your business to go. And then let that person be someone that you can share ideas with and who can hold you accountable to executing your plan. Yeah. Other thing is, what good is it to make goals, accomplish goals, but then not have our health or not have a great quality of life with our family? So I do believe it's important to make it your business to be healthy, to have a good family life, to time block for these things. It can be so easy to, oh, I have my day blocked out. I'm going to prospect from 8 to noon, and then I'm going to show houses from noon to 5, and then I'm going to do paperwork from 5 to 7. And oh, wait, what about I ended up eating junk food through the drive-through all day because I've been running around so much, and I ended up exercising zero today. I've put in maybe 2,000 steps just walking up to the lockbox, and you're not accomplishing the things that make you healthy. So we've all Remax had this commercial years ago where they're talking about how focused their agents are on real estate, and they showed this Remax agent go out and put on like a jumpsuit, like he was getting ready to go work out, and he runs like 20 yards and then he's out of breath. And it was kind of making this joke. It was actually to recruit agents and how Remax agents, need to have a better quality of life and balanced life. But we all need to have a balanced life. We all need to incorporate our health into our life, because business health follows personal health. If you're healthy and you're feeling good and you're fit, you're gonna just do better at everything you do. So, by now, at this point, what's our next step? What do we want to focus on? Well, we want to have a production target broken down in clear numbers. We want to have a dollar amount. We want to have units. And then if you can extrapolate from that, how many contacts you need to have, how many leads you need to have, and back into those numbers, that would be a good start to a plan. You want a focused lead generation plan. So we discussed leads. How many leads do we need in order to hit the production target? Well, what is our lead generation tool going to be to have those conversations, to get those clients, to have those closings? So let's work on a lead generation plan. And then once we've done it, how are we going to track this stuff? And who's going to keep us accountable? And then if you want to sit down and have that conversation about the numbers that we talked about on the earlier slides, reviewing 2025, coming up with specific goals for 2026. If you want to sit down and have that conversation in person at the Dayton office, or on Zoom, or if you're real crazy and want to meet on a hiking trail, that would be fun too. Just email me, Rife at iCloud, and we can get that set up. All right, awesome. Well, I appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate your attention. And you guys have a great day. As Chris would say, go sell a house and do something awesome. See you.